Hello and welcome to day 130. For today I will be planning to do back to the Clip Studio Paint tutorials from Art Rocket right now. It's been a while since I have done those. And basically we go through the guide of drawing shadows. And there's a lot of light there too. So it will be just potentially pretty much like a light read, with some insights about like all of that, reflected light, halftones and stuff. It's probably some of this is already known, but you never know how intuitive they are, and basically you maybe why is my let's activate this. We will go a little bit with color pick and stuff and figure out where in the range we are, like on the grayscale range. And let's start with level up with this guy on light and shade. By changing the type and direction of your light source, you can transform the feeling of your artwork. Artist Everyday, by the way, I will link it under this video, explain all about the different types of light and shading that affects an object. Light shadows. Light allowed us to see colors and everything surrounding us. Thanks to light, we can distinguish the shape, the volumes of different objects. Today I want to share some points to help us improve how to interpret light and shadows in our drawing. This classic example of a shape on a table shows the fundamental interactions between light and shadows. So we are on this picture. I basically only have one hand. Let me use the other hand. You might hear my clicking. So what do we have here? We have highlights. That's pretty much the whitest part. Somewhere around light value of 100 to 90. Direct light, it's the light part, which I expect to be a lighter, but not on this ball. Then halftone is between the shadow part and the light part, and it's like the half gray zone. That's pretty much self-explanatory. Then we have like a couple of shadows. Like cast shadows is the shadow cast by light. Core shadows is much darker. Shadow. Not sure what the difference is between core shadow. I assume there's like reflected light, and reflected light makes the area that you would expect to be like most in shadows be like less in shadows. By the way, this will be a long one video. Okay, light areas, direct light. This is the area of the object facing the light and where you see the lightest light on the form. Yes, basically like about 95 plus minus 5. Halftone. This is where the values start darkening to a neutral point between light and shadows. It's also known as the base color, flat color, or the object. Halftone is where the value starts darkening to a neutral point between light and shadows. It is also known as the base color of the object. So halftone is probably like base color of the objects. So I mean, I guess this is in the middle, but you don't necessarily see base color, maybe? Dark side, core shadow. This is the contour of the shadows. In the case of a sphere, we can observe a ring-like sphere following the shape of the object surface. This area is usually darker because neither the direct light nor the diffracted light bouncing off the table can touch this part of the object. So dark light is where like dark shadows, core shadows is basically where no light is hitting. And the reflected light is one of the stars that also exists, and you have to know what even reflects light. Probably need a little bit of physics course here. Middle dark tone. I don't remember having this middle dark tone, but this is a neutral tone between the lightest and darkest tones of the shadow. The neutral tone. Cast shadows. A silhouette that... Okay, that's a much self-explanatory. The cast shadow is the silhouette of that object projection of the surface when it's starting. Its shape can grow or shrink depending on the angle of the light. You can see this on this picture. That's pretty much what you can observe. Also, you can see here on this cube, by the way, that there's like some disappearance of the cast shadow, which I'm still figuring out how to do it. Maybe probably just blending tool or blue tool. Or you have like this strange you don't fade away, but have like this strange edge. Then don't forget about reflection. Reflection occurs when the light hits a surface and changes its direction. Any surface can reflect light, some more than others. That is why you don't need sand to find 100% dark shadows in the real world, unless there is no light at all. Highlights. This is the reflection of the light source on the object. Its position depends on your point of view. If you move, the highlight will also change its position. On the value scale, it has lighter tone that directs light. But remember that its intensity depends on the material of the object. Metals can have a more visible shine than woods, for example. So highlights is pretty much something that that gives us away what material it is about. The highlights on the wood is like pretty much non-existent. I would just say it's more like light, not really highlight. Reflected light. This is the light that after bouncing on the table changes its direction and is the projected of the sphere. You can see this better on the colored in example. I think this is that one. Reflected light. So the colors going like this curve. Dark, and then it goes back to a little bit lighter. Sort of vectors here. When driving, you add values to the shapes, defining both light and shadows. If you imagine these values on a scale, you can easily figure out the brightness and darkness of each gray tone. So this is probably like the gray tone scale whale. No, lightest one. I think that's lightest one. The key is to keep the right balance between light and dark tones to detail the images successfully. They work as a team. The light defines the shadows, and the shadow defines the light. Okay, this is a weird cast shadow here. Yes, it is believable. And I already tried something to do, like for example, like in the thumbnail here with this cube. So there is kind of like this, but this cube don't have any reflected light, but I don't think that wood reflects a lot of light, right? So they probably just go for the object, what you wanna do. The left image is underexposed. Tones are very dark and resembles one another. Details are lost. Left image, that one. And the shapes flatten. On the right it is opposite. The image is overexposed. The amount of light is blinding and there is almost no distinction between the figure and the background. The transition of tones is very subtle, but the darkest ones are still very light. So basically this was the darkest one. And they changed in the other half. It's like just probably because of a lot of reflected light that comes from everywhere. And makes everything a little bit lighter. Identify the surface. Many young artists tend to create shadow effects that do not represent the volume of object correctly. Probably, yeah. But to apply shadows to, for example, a human face, it is useful to know something about its anatomy. Observe the structure and build up the face based on simple geometric shapes. Easier said than done. After so many face study days, still not that easy. That allows us to identify, without too much difficulty, the surface facing light areas, dark areas, and those areas affected by the light bouncing off another surface. One hand. And yeah, shading skin. That's where I'm at. And I really probably used to use airbrush for this transition here. Like some gradients. There's a lot of gradients here. The values from light to dark are very gradual. Except nose. The nose is like... And the fact that the lips also split in two makes it not much easier. Propagation of light. Opaque objects do not allow light to pass through them and cast an even shadow. The challenge, however, comes when we deal with translucent or transparent objects, which I wanna do more of water bubbles and fail to... Yeah, transparent objects like glass, water bubbles, like all these cool effects with transparent objects is something that I would love to do. Light passes through translucent materials only partially. The color of the object can become more saturated due to the light traveling through them. And in those leaves and hands. Can more become saturated? Okay, that's very important not to have. Never thought about this, but yeah. I almost see that you move yourself in this left area and very rarely goes into the saturated area, so probably when you go have a translucent object, I will keep in mind to go into a more saturated area. Those hands, this is pretty much common what you see. When fingers are separated, the beam of light becomes visible. Opaque area of the hands. Yes. Transparent objects allow more light to pass through. Drawing those types of objects is usually more complicated. You need to pay close attention to details. For example, in a glass. Yes, glass. The background becomes distorted of the glass. Probably just blew it up. The light jumps from one plate to another, leaving highlights on a few areas. One plate to another, place to another. Light and shadows are projected into the surface, creating an interesting silhouette. Yeah, better than that's how you describe the silhouette. Interesting. Damn, I don't. Oh my god! I think one day I will try to make like this glass picture. Types of light. The sun is our primary source of natural light. We can observe how it is intensity, colors and shadows change through the day. Light from artificial sources, spotlight bulbs, cell phone screens, is more constant and allow us to control its direction, vividness and color. Need to figure out what vividness means. In the following example, I tried to emulate different light sources using the same drawing as the base. You can also see the values in grayscale. There's like very intensive light here on the candlelight, but it fades away pretty fast. Flashes, like flash of a camera, it casts a very precise shadow, cast shadow. Underwater moonlight, very bluish light, I would say. Very gentle, I guess. Another good idea is to play with the light direction and create unique compositions. God, I don't just when I see it, the face and a lot of light sources and stuff, and the hair. You're gonna have quite a headish here. By the way, the collarbones, I need to remember that the collarbones go like up there. Each scene tells a different story. Okay, last page was faster than expected, but still pretty long. In traditional media, we have an endless range of materials. Ink, graphite, charcoal, watercolors, Arctic oil, etc. The medium also provides different textures and colors. All of those traditional techniques can be recreated in digital media by adjusting brush settings, texture. Yes. It is also possible to explore newer trends and experiment with different finishes. Their options are endless, but mastering a technique is easier once you have fundamental mastered. The next thing you have to do is to practice. I hope this guy can help improve the experience with light and try new things in your drawings. I mean, this guy did give me some insights, but I definitely need to... I think the next time when I do some stuff, I will probably observe more of the lights. But I do want to know how to move in this color wheel more properly. This is such a smooth ball here. Okay, was interesting read. To make some practice, I will probably try to recreate this glass on water after it. So let's just try do it. Okay, this one turned pretty neat. This is as much as I could do for that one reference. And it was very interesting. I did notice one thing, that with this brush particular, if I go small, then the edge getting more sharper and sharper, which I probably keep in mind. And we conclude this for today. So the idea will be probably in the future, instead of day between illustration, day between theory, there will be probably days where I do both. That we will not today, but I would like to go through like some study stuff like this, try to copy a reference and maybe some inside info. I'm not sure about the reading and following a tutorial, but well, maybe. And maybe I will find something interesting that we can go through like once couple of days. As for right now, I will thank you for watching and listening. I wish you a good day, night, afternoon, and see you on day 131.